I'm done being the family's maid. My grown sisters dump their dirty dishes on me daily. Now I refuse to clean up their mess, and everyone thinks I'm the problem. I just want to start off by saying that I live with my mom, and I'm a 17-year-old girl. I have 5 siblings, but it's the 2 oldest ones who are both adults that I have this specific issue with. Every day for many years, I was tasked with certain chores, just as they were. My primary responsibility was to wash the dishes. Sister number 1 would sweep the floor, and sister number 2 would clean the table. Both of their tasks were much simpler than mine. The issue is that the kids and my sisters often finish eating late. By the time I get around to cleaning the dishes, it's already 10 or 11 p.m., which wouldn't be a huge problem, except I have school early in the morning. My school is quite far, and the commute by public transit takes over an hour. This is where the resentment began. Lately, I've started refusing to wash their dishes out of pure frustration and stubbornness because of the mess they leave behind when I'm not there. If I'm at school, I naturally expect them to clean their own dishes. It's not like I can magically do it from afar. My rule is simple. I will only clean dishes if I was present and participated in the meal with them as a family. Otherwise, it's their responsibility. The problem is, they never clean up after themselves. They eat while I'm away and leave their dirty plates, utensils, cups, and pans in the sink for hours. Every time I ask them to clean their mess, they respond with promises to do it later, but they never follow through. What's even worse is when I return home from school, often tired and ready to relax, only to find a cluttered sink filled with their dirty dishes. On top of that, my sisters often leave for work around the same time I get back. They deliberately leave the mess behind, knowing that I will be the one forced to clean it up because they won't be around. It's not like I don't understand what it means to be tired from work. On days when they aren't home, I willingly step up. I sweep the floor, clean the table, and wash the dishes. Their dishes, without complaining because I understand they aren't there to do it themselves. I'm not unreasonable. But I can't wrap my head around why they refuse to offer me the same courtesy. When I'm away all day at school, they don't clean anything. They simply expect me to come home and handle everything for them. A few months ago, I reached my breaking point. I sat down with my mom and told her that I wasn't going to clean their plates anymore. I explained that it wasn't fair, and they needed to take responsibility for their messes. My mom actually agreed with me and scolded them multiple times, but nothing changed. They still left the sink overflowing with dirty dishes. It feels like they are taking advantage of me. Even the younger kids, who are significantly younger than my adult sisters, understand the concept of cleaning up after themselves. I've seen them rinse off their plates and put them in the dishwasher without a problem. It's frustrating that 2 grown women can't do the same. When I come home from school at around 5 or 6 p.m., the last thing I want to see is a mountain of dirty dishes in the sink. I'm not asking for much. I just want a little bit of consideration. I'm already juggling my responsibilities at school, keeping up with assignments, and maintaining my grades. Adding the stress of cleaning up after people who refuse to help is beyond exhausting. I'll admit that part of my frustration comes from the fact that I'm expected to act like the responsible one simply because I'm more reliable. But I'm also just a teenager. I shouldn't have to shoulder all of this responsibility while 2 capable adults neglect their duties. I've tried to be patient. I've tried talking to them. I've even involved my mom, and still, they refuse to change. So, am I the jerk for refusing to wash the dishes? I don't think I am. I believe it's only fair for everyone to clean up after themselves. If they can't be bothered to do their part, why should I be the one who always picks up the slack? I know accidents happen, and sometimes life gets busy, but when it becomes a repeated pattern of inconsideration, it's hard not to feel upset. Maybe my refusal to clean their dishes will finally make them realize the importance of pulling their weight. Until then, I'm standing my ground. I just hope my family can understand why I made this decision.
Story 2.
I stood my ground when my mom's boyfriend demanded I turn off my music. Now I'm the disrespectful teen ruining the household peace. Let me start with some backstory. I'm a 15-year-old girl, and I live with my mom, who's 34, her boyfriend Henry, who's 45, and my 3 younger siblings, a 4-year-old sister and 2 brothers, aged 12 and 10. My mom and Henry have been dating for around 7 months, and he moved in with us not too long ago. We all live in a small apartment, which means space and privacy can be limited, but I try my best to be considerate. I share a bedroom with my younger sister, but since she's so young, she's often out playing at the park or hanging out with my brothers under supervision. When I have the room to myself, I like to listen to music, which is one of the few things that help me unwind. I have a CD player that I use during the day, but I'm always careful not to play it too loudly. Out of respect for our neighbors, I don't use it early in the morning or late at night. In fact, after 8 p.m., I always switch to using my headphones. I think that's fair, especially considering how cramped our living situation is. A couple of days ago, around 2 p.m., I was cleaning my vanity and listening to music on my CD player. It was a sunny afternoon. My sister was at the park with my brothers, and the apartment was relatively quiet. I had my bedroom door closed, and the volume wasn't excessively loud, just loud enough for me to enjoy. You couldn't hear it unless you were inside my room. I was playing a playlist with various songs, and at one point, Or Nah by The Weeknd came on. I wasn't even thinking much about the lyrics. I was just going through my tasks. That's when Henry walked into my room. He didn't knock, which has been an ongoing frustration for me. He asked if I could show him where the coffee mugs were because he couldn't find them. I politely paused my music and led him to the kitchen. I pointed out where the mugs were typically kept, mentioning that some might still be in the dishwasher. He thanked me, and I returned to my room. I assumed that was the end of it. About 20 minutes later, I received a text from my mom. She said Henry had complained that he could hear my music from the balcony on the other side of the apartment complex. He also told her that the song I was listening to was inappropriate. She asked me what I had been playing, and I told her. After I explained, she didn't seem upset, but simply requested that I try to keep the music down next time. I explained that I had been using my headphones at full volume earlier, but since they were charging, I switched to the CD player. She said okay and left it at that. I thought everything was resolved, but yesterday it happened again. I was putting away my clothes in my room and listening to music without my headphones. It was still daytime, well within reasonable hours, and my mom was home this time. Henry walked into my room once again without knocking. He asked me something unrelated, and as I answered, he commented on the music. He asked why I wasn't using my headphones. I calmly explained that they were charging. He then told me to turn off the music altogether. That didn't sit right with me. I'm in my own room during the afternoon, not bothering anyone. It's not like I was blasting it through the entire apartment. I told him I didn't see a reason to turn it off completely. That made him angry. He started getting frustrated, saying I was being disrespectful and inconsiderate. I stayed calm and told him that I wasn't doing anything wrong, and he stormed off. Later, my mom confronted me about it. She seemed conflicted, like she didn't know whose side to take. On one hand, she understood that I should have some freedom in my own space, but on the other hand, she didn't want to upset Henry. She said she didn't want the house to feel tense and asked me to be more mindful of how others feel. But I can't help but feel like I'm being unfairly treated. Henry is a grown adult, and I don't think it's unreasonable for me to enjoy my music at a moderate volume in the middle of the day. It's not like I'm breaking any rules or intentionally trying to annoy anyone. I also think it's unfair that he can barge into my room whenever he pleases without respecting my privacy. I've tried to be considerate by using my headphones most of the time, but sometimes I just want to listen to music without feeling like I'm walking on eggshells. Now, I'm wondering if I should have just turned it off to avoid the conflict. Maybe I was being stubborn, but I feel like I'm always the one who has to compromise. So am I the a-hole for refusing to turn my music off when I was in my room?
Story 3.
My parents booked a surprise international vacation without asking me. Now I'm the ungrateful adult child for refusing to go and choosing my responsibilities over family time. I'm an 18-year-old college student living in America. Currently, I still live with my parents while attending college classes and working part-time. While I understand that living at home means there are certain expectations, I also value having a degree of autonomy over my time and decisions. This is why a recent situation with my parents has left me feeling conflicted. About a month ago, my parents suddenly announced that we would be flying to the Dominican Republic for a 5-day vacation in mid-March. There was no prior discussion about the trip. They didn't ask me if I would be comfortable going, if I had any commitments around that time, or even if I wanted to go. It was simply presented as a finalized plan. When I expressed my hesitation and uncertainty, I was quickly shut down. My parents informed me that the tickets had already been purchased and that it was too late to change anything. To give some background, I have always been somewhat apprehensive about flying. Air travel makes me anxious, and the thought of leaving the country adds an additional layer of stress. My parents are well aware of this. I've voiced my concerns in the past about international travel and how it heightens my anxiety. Despite knowing this, they went ahead and planned the vacation without giving me a chance to provide input. On top of my anxieties, I have financial concerns. I'm currently working part-time to save money for school expenses and my future plans to move out. Missing several days of work is not ideal, especially since I rely on my income to cover my personal expenses. Staying home and working would be far more beneficial for me in the long run. When I tried to explain my point of view to my parents, they responded with frustration. My father, in particular, made me feel guilty for not being enthusiastic about the trip. He grew up in a low-income household and often reminds me of how fortunate I am compared to his upbringing. From his perspective, the opportunity to travel internationally is a privilege I should be grateful for. He emphasized how he never had these opportunities growing up, which made it difficult for me to voice my concerns without feeling like I was being unappreciative. My mother echoed his sentiments. She insisted that family trips are valuable bonding experiences and that I should cherish the time we spend together. While I do value our family time, I believe these moments are most meaningful when everyone is genuinely happy to be there. Forcing myself to go on a trip that I feel uncomfortable about doesn't seem like the best way to strengthen our relationship. Another layer to this situation is the feeling of being undermined. I'm legally an adult, and while I'm still financially dependent on my parents to some extent, I believe I should have a say in how I spend my time. By making this decision without consulting me, they treated me like a child rather than a young adult capable of making informed choices. I also worry about how this trip might interfere with my responsibilities. College coursework requires time and focus, and missing several days could set me back. While my parents assured me that I could handle catching up, they don't fully understand the pressure I'm under. Balancing work, school, and maintaining my mental health is already challenging. Adding unnecessary travel stress feels overwhelming. Despite all of this, I've been hesitant to push back too much. My parents provide me with a home, financial support, and other resources I'm grateful for. Challenging their decisions often leads to tense conversations, and I'm reluctant to risk further strain on our relationship. But at the same time, I can't shake the feeling that my voice should matter in decisions that directly affect me. I tried suggesting compromises, like staying home to work and offering to join them on a domestic trip in the future, but they dismissed my proposals. The guilt tripping continued with remarks like, "You'll regret not spending this time with us," and "We're doing this for you." It's exhausting to constantly feel like the bad guy simply for having boundaries. Ultimately, I'm left questioning whether I'm in the wrong for standing my ground. I've considered their perspectives, but I still feel that my desire to stay home and manage my responsibilities is reasonable. I don't want to disappoint my parents, but I also don't want to sacrifice my own well-being to meet their expectations. So, am I the one at fault for refusing to go on a surprise vacation, or am I justified in asserting my own needs, even if it's unpopular with my parents?